Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This week we're going to be looking at 2016's The Monster. In the movie, a mother and daughter drive down an isolated road when their car suddenly breaks down by a forest and they crash into an injured wolf. But when the animal mysteriously disappears, it becomes clear that they're not alone and must fight for their survival to not be killed by whatever's in the woods. In this video, we'll look at how to escape and not be killed by the monster. The movie starts off with our main character Lizzie, a young child, getting up at 7 a.m. starting the day. She makes herself breakfast and cleans up various beer cans and liquor bottles. Afterwards, she wakes up her mother, Kathy, and collects her dirty laundry. It becomes clear that she's a lot more mature than her mom, and today she has to be driven back to her father since her parents are separated. Then there's a flashback of a screaming match between the mother and daughter. They argue if the mom should go to one of her plays, but the young girl doesn't really want her there. After about 20 seconds, the two begin insulting each other.
You,
Talk to me like that.
you, you.
I hate you.
You.
When the flashback is over, they're in a dark forest during the evening, and it seems like there's no one around for miles. Kathy stopped by the road to discuss whether to keep going, since it's pretty late. Lizzie tells her that her dad is probably still up waiting for her, so the two go back inside and continue driving. A few minutes go by when one of the tires suddenly breaks and they spin out of control. Once the car faces the road again, an injured bloody wolf is seen and they crash. Minutes later, they wake up and are both slightly injured. It's still in the middle of the night and raining. The mother notices that her wrist is broken, but fortunately the girl is okay. However, the car won't turn on and they're stuck on this little stretch of road. After trying to start the car a few more times, Kathy tells her daughter to call 911. When the operator picks up, Lizzie does her best describing what's happened. The person on the phone asks where they are and they give a rough estimation of the last place they remembered. However, that was a highway exit about 30 minutes ago. Unfortunately, they don't know the exact location, so it will take some time to arrive. What the girls can do here is use the phone's GPS to locate where they are. It's shown that they have a pretty modern smartphone and a solid connection over the phone, so it's not unreasonable to assume that they can connect to the internet via mobile data and get their location. And even if they can't, the GPS feature on a phone works even without the internet. You can get the coordinates and give that to the operator. This will help the paramedics save a lot of time trying to find them. If they manage to arrive earlier, the mother and daughter can get rescued before the monster starts attacking them. So they go back outside to see the damage on the car, and it's quite bad, with bits of the wolf all over the cooling grill. The mother then says that Lizzie should call her dad since this will probably take a while. She calls him too and describes how she's really scared and they hit a wolf, but since they don't know where they are, he can't really do anything. Then there's another flashback of the mother by a refrigerator late at night. She goes outside to the garbage bin and digs out an alcohol bottle. She keeps telling herself not to drink it, but eventually does so anyways and completes the entire thing. The daughter then wakes up and sees that the mother threw up in the toilet and lies passed out in the bathroom. She hugs her and sleeps on the floor as well. Back in the woods, the two stand in front of the animal and look at it, wondering if it's dead or not. The mother then digs out a large tooth out of one of the wounds and decides that it's best to get back into the car, since the wolf was probably fighting with something much bigger that's still out here. Some time goes by and the rain gets increasingly more intense. We also begin hearing growling sounds coming from the woods. After Lizzie puts some bandages on their wounds, a tow truck finally shows up. However, when the car stops in front of them, Lizzie notices that the wolf is gone. The worker, called Jesse, walks towards them and asks if they're alright. Kathy mentions that her wrist is broken and they hit a wolf, but other than that, they're okay. The man tells them that he'll look at the car and repair it, since it can't be towed in its current condition. But this will take some time, so they can't leave for a while. He also takes all of their belongings and locks them in his truck, thinking they will drive with them after a quick repair. Now here, it's probably not the best idea to have Jesse fix the car. The tooth they pulled out is a sign that there's a large, potentially dangerous animal close by. This is further indicated by the growling noises that are consistently coming from the forest. What they can do is inform the tow truck driver that there are dangerous wild animals around. If he knew this, Jesse would probably want to drive away from this area and take the girls with him. But perhaps more importantly, they should leave to get to a hospital. During the crash, both the mother and daughter had their heads slammed on the dashboard. Even though they're not seriously hurt, not all injuries are instantly visible. So staying here for what could be hours with untreated wounds waiting to get proper medical treatment isn't a good idea. Also, we don't know exactly where the movie takes place. It was shot in Ottawa, Ontario, which is one of the most populated cities in Canada. Now, even though there are parts of it that are pretty isolated, towards the end of the movie we can see what appears to be a few residential houses in the background, indicating that civilization is quite near and easily reachable with a short drive. Since they don't know how long it will take for the ambulance to arrive, they could probably convince the man to just take them to the nearest hospital, which wouldn't be too far away. But perhaps the easiest solution is to have Jesse call 911 again and explain where the girls are, since he just drove down the road and can explain how to get here. Anyways, while he repairs the car, the mother and daughter discuss what's happened to the wolf. The daughter remarks that neither dogs nor wolves have such enormous teeth, but Kathy tells her that she should just call her dad again. However, the phone is inside Lizzie's bag, in the tow truck. She goes outside to Jesse's car to get it. However, the door is locked. She asks for his keys, but the man says that he'll be out in just a second. Following this, Lizzie notices a blood trail leading into the woods, where the wolf lies. It's even more injured and torn apart than before. We also see that behind her is a large black creature that slowly backs away from her. Then we get another flashback where Lizzie walks over to her mother, who is asleep on the couch. She puts a knife to her throat, whispering how she hates her and that Kathy should just get out of her life. Back in the forest, Lizzie goes into the car again and talks to her mom. She tells her that something else further injured and ate the wolf. Meanwhile, Jesse is still underneath the truck. He begins hearing the growls and looks around. Afterwards, the mother wonders where the ambulance is and why it's taking so long. She then calls Jesse and says that he should hurry up. Following a brief silence, they begin questioning if he's even still down there. We then see that the only thing that remains is the flashlight he was carrying. The mother starts honking to get his attention. When they don't get an answer, Kathy goes to see where he is. The daughter says that she doesn't want her to go outside. However, the mother begins feeling a little bit annoyed that Lizzie is so scared. She looks for Jesse and only sees his toolbox. Then there is that growling noise again. A few seconds later, one of Jesse's arms is thrown on the windshield of the car. The two begin to realize that they're in serious danger and decide to hide in the car and wait for the ambulance to arrive. Lizzie begins crying, saying she wants her dad. The mother tries starting the car again, but nothing seems to work. Suddenly, the maimed Jesse crawls out of the mud towards his truck. He comes closer inch by inch. The girls hesitate, thinking about what they should do. Eventually, he arrives at the door, crawls up and tries opening the truck, but it's locked. He grabs his keys but needs to look for the right one. Back in the other car, Lizzie says that she can see it, looking at them. They honk at Jesse in an attempt to get his attention so he can turn around and see the monster. Eventually, he looks but can't see anything. Then he gets pulled underneath the car and gets killed by the creature. When he's dead, Lizzie begins crying again. Now when they wait in the car, Lizzie and Kathy are very visible with the lights on, and even though it seems like it would make them more noticeable, it's actually a pretty good idea since there are many clues that the monster stays out of the light. However, when they honk to get Jesse's attention, they're clearly giving their position away, letting the beast outside know exactly where they are. As a rule of thumb, the creature is attracted by sound and repelled by light, especially if it's pointed directly at it. And as Jesse crawls back, they should quickly help him because he has the keys to a working car. They should be safe because their headlights would scare the creature away. Of course, it's risky since the monster might get to them, but it's also the only way out of here. I mean, the monster, it was to the left of Kathy's car, and instead of walking directly to Jesse and killing him, it decided to walk all the way around the vehicle to avoid the headlights. So if Kathy goes out there to get his keys, instead of just honking at him, it's pretty unlikely that she gets attacked. We also saw that the creature threw the arm at the car. This obviously shows that it knows where the people are, meaning that just sitting there virtually guarantees your death. So they could get out, check for the keys, and drive away. After Jesse's death, we get another flashback where the daughter is in her room. The parents are in an intense fight where the father looks for the keys. It's shown that Lizzie is hiding them so he can't drive away. Her parents end up going into her room and yelling at her for the keys. She denies having them, but the dad fishes them out of the sheets and takes them. When it's clear that he's driven off, the mother slaps her kid. Back in the car, they're still stuck and are slowly running out of options. Lizzie wants to know what exactly is after them, but the mother doesn't have a clue. Even though the daughter is still crying, the mother says that she'll carefully sneak back out to Jesse's truck. It's still open and his keys might be nearby. Jesse's body is no longer there, but it's possible that he dropped them. She takes a look outside, but it's unclear where they are. Then, out of nowhere, one of Lizzie's stuffed animals makes a loud noise. The The batteries are quickly ripped out and they hide by lying on the seats. Kathy takes another look to see if the monster is anywhere close. Luckily, it seems like the air is clear. When everything goes totally silent, the creature breaks the car window, drags out the mother, and starts attacking her. As it's violently scratching her, the ambulance comes down the road with the blaring horns. The animal gets scared away and leaves the mother. The paramedics take the mom and kid to start giving them the help they need, but they don't instantly drive away. Instead, they still want to find the tow truck driver. Now this moment is also a little bit strange, because the monster doesn't immediately run away at the side of the car. It stares for a second. This means that the person driving the ambulance should have seen that on the road is an enormous violent animal attacking humans. The paramedics should have seen this with ease and act much quicker when getting Kathy and Lizzie. So when it's clearly taking too long, the mother asks the driver to just leave, but she tells her to remain calm. Then the windshield is ripped out by the monster and it starts attacking the car. Moments later, the paramedic is taken out of her seat and killed by the creature. The mother hits it with a flashlight, after which it slowly turns to her. Then it loudly screams, which is the first time we see how this thing looks. Now, even though it's never stated outright, this creature is probably blind to some degree. The extremely gray and cloudy eyes can be an indication that they're not in the best condition. And this would make a lot of sense. The only people that are ever attacked are the ones making a lot of noise. The mother got bitten after the stuffed animal made a sound, and Jesse's killed when he's working on the car, which is quite noisy. This is another piece of information that can be extremely valuable later on. So when it confronts the mother, it runs away after looking at the flashlight. Kathy then realizes that they have to use their chance. She quickly jumps into the driver's seat and speeds off. Just when they think they made it getting off the road, the monster rams the ambulance from the side and tips it over. The mother and daughter then pass out again. During this sequence, this might be a little bit picky, but they drive the ambulance in the same direction that the monster runs to, so the girls are basically following it. Suppose they would have taken a few seconds to turn the car around and drive in the opposite direction. That way they could have probably avoided getting hit. There would be a lot more distance between them and the monster wouldn't have a head start. As they both wake up again, they're even more injured and think about what they can do to finally escape. The mother takes the radio in the car and tries calling for help, but no one responds. Then we begin to hear the growling noise again. Shortly after, the creature scratches at the ambulance. It works its way around the car until it sees Kathy and Lizzie again. Even though they have nothing to protect themselves with, it runs away when the mother shines a flashlight at it. This is perhaps the clearest evidence we get that it's afraid of the light, and it would fit into the overall theme of the movie as it's mentioned a few times.
It will be afraid. Monsters don't like the light. That's what night lights are for, right?
And even though it's just something childish the mother says to calm down her kid, these themes are played into very heavily, indicating that it really is avoiding bright areas. Some time goes by and the mother begins loudly coughing up blood. She then comes up with a solution. She will make a fire and scream to attract the monster's attention, which will allow the daughter to escape and be free. Afterwards, she'll extinguish the flame and sacrifice herself. Kathy collects some items to make a torch and explains the plan to her daughter, but she doesn't really like the idea of going off alone. The mother responds that Lizzie has to do it no matter what. She knows that she'll die and needs her daughter to accept that fact. At this point, we know that the monster is attracted to sound, so instead of going out there herself, the two can create some kind of sound distraction with the noisy toy, or maybe leaving on the radio and turning up the volume. Then the girls can quietly leave with a flashlight and a torch, which they can use to defend themselves in case the monster finds them. The two can go back to where the other cars were to get the phone out of the back of Jesse's truck, and with a lot of luck, they might even find the keys he dropped and drive away. Anyways, she then stands outside and screams for the monster, making enough of a distraction for the younger one to run away. In the distance, we begin to hear the creature. She then puts out the torch, and only seconds later, the monster jumps out, scratching and biting her several times. Then, however, the daughter starts attacking the beast. She pounds it with a stick, but it doesn't do much damage. It turns to her and screams, but it once again runs away when she happens to point the flashlight at it. The mother slowly dies while the daughter stands over her body. Lizzie then crawls over to the ambulance truck. In there, next to her stuffed animal, is a lighter which she takes. Then in a corner with the rest of the medicine, she sees an aerosol spray and grabs it as well. well. I think you guys can see where this is going. She hides in the closet in the back of the truck and turns on the noisy stuffed animal. A few seconds go by and the creature rushes into the back of the car, flailing at the toy. She pokes her head out and tries running away. Only a couple steps outside, the being goes after her. The two face off in the woods and Lizzie says that she's no longer afraid. She tells it to attack, and when it finally does, she snaps on the lighter and uses the can to spray the flammable fluid at it. With one short burst, the monster erupts in a big flame and slowly stops breathing. Here we see that the plan we outlined earlier would most likely have worked. If both the mother and daughter get the torch and cause some kind of distraction in the ambulance, they could run away. The monster would go towards the noise in the truck while the pair would quietly escape. If the creature ends up finding them, the mother could light the torch and use it to either scare it away or fight back aggressively. That plan seems a lot safer than letting a very young, scared child run off into the woods alone with no means to defend herself and no idea where to go. So after defeating the monster, she stands over it and looks at its face. There's one more loud growl, but then it lies motionless on the floor after a few more hits with a stick. In the final flashback, we see the daughter lying underneath her bed as she gets woken up by her mother. They talk about how they don't actually hate each other. However, their relationship is very complicated because Kathy struggles with a lot of things in general. But the mother assures her that when Lizzie grows up, her life will be amazing. When it slowly turns into daytime in the forest, Lizzie walks through the woods talking about how monsters are real and how they're always watching from the dark. However, only some of them are visible, and she's no longer afraid. So those are some ways to beat the monster. As always, let me know if I missed anything. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.